Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Virgos. My name is Laura. If you're new to my channel, I'm going to do a general message for you. No energy is fluid. Roles can be reversed. Just interpret the message as it best resonates with you. Sorry, I'm getting on late. I moved the time. It's like I got up at 6 o'clock in the morning, and it's been literally not one person after another person after another. I feel like I am like battling my way to just get my stuff done. And I hate days like that. It's almost like you feel like you're in a vortex. I wonder whether there's going to be something with a reading with this, because I'm like, I always notice like a karmic theme. So if you're new to my channel, I like to look at everything. I look at the spiritual blocks, the shadows, and see how they play it as karmic themes along with what your person's going to do and what you need to look out for. Energy is fluid. I believe that everything happens when it's supposed to happen. It's the key is to keep calm. And a lot of times we get tested, and we get tested based on just our life experiences. But really what it does, it brings up previous trauma. See, we always have an opportunity to do things differently, but we have to recognize certain patterns within other people and their behaviorisms as well as our own, in order to really transcend the limitations of what's, the limitations of our own mind, what we perceive about ourselves and other people. Good morning, Debbie. So again, I'm going to start by, let's start by looking at the wounds. We looked at the relationship yesterday first. And boy, that was a doozy of a relationship. That was like such a trigger warning for me. But there are people out there. And if you were stuck around, if you belonged to my coaching, the story was even worse than that, But unfortunately, there's a lot of people out there that they're not interested in a real relationship. They're only interested in a physical connection. And that's a sign of a person that has trauma. And I say that because a person that doesn't want to build the emotional connection, they might not even think that they're traumatized. They've been walking around like that forever. But their behaviorisms are toxic. So being able to recognize everything is hugely important. Now, there's many different realities that play it at one time. You can actually shape shift the situation so that it plays out in a favorable way for you, believe it or not. You might say, well, why the hell would I want to do that? That's game playing. It's not really game playing. If you're attracting someone that you need, so the universe says that you need it, it's because you're wounded. So you're getting it to change a behaviorism, to change that core belief that you're not aware of until that person triggers it. So it's actually not playing games. What you're doing is you're healing. Remember, healing doesn't feel good. Healing requires you to do something different, which is going to feel wrong, especially if you were programmed in an environment or dated someone previously or were around somebody that was toxic that made you live from a lower state of consciousness, which is just, you're not in alignment with your true energy, the energy of unconditional love. So anyone that makes you compromise, anyone that makes you abandon yourself, any person that, makes you accept less than. Now, people are going to try and do that. Everybody tries to do that. But the key is to be in the world without becoming a part of it. So I want to look at the wounds, see what are the wounds that are playing out right now? What do we need to look out for? It's because what you'll see is karmic cycles repeat. So you'll be like, oh, yeah, I've been dealing with that one for a long time. Because what we resist persists. You're going to keep getting it. It'll be disguised maybe a little bit different. But the irony is a lot of times people have a type. So the person looks the same. They act the same. Sometimes we say, no, I'm deliberately going to go the exact opposite. And then you still wind up getting the same, and you're like, well, why does that happen? The reason why is because paradox, opposites attract. You get what you need. So we're going to start off by looking at 5. We're going to even look at some inner child wound cards. We're really going to do this backwards today to try and mix it up, only because of what the title is. And if there's ever a title that you guys want to know about, you can always, drop me a line. You could always ask me questions. You could always ask me to do a reading around something. All right. So when we look at the wounds, we see anxiety and fear, choked voice, pleaser cage, control wound, and exponential despair. So these are the wounds at hand. So what the hell does that mean? So understand, you were conditioned to be a pleaser. You grew up being taught that love was conditional. Whether your parent meant to or not, it's not a blame game, but we have to explain where the wound came from. So it says love earned through self erasure, like you have to erase who you are, like your needs, your wants. You have to continually compromise yourself in order to, keep the peace, in order to be recognized, in order to, feel loved. And it's happened because, well, it says you learn to suppress your needs, desires, or truth to avoid conflict, which I just said, or rejection. It can leave you feeling invisible, resentful. And so there is this energy. Why do I feel like that there's like not one person, but maybe a few people that are planning on coming back into your life? And boundaries. It's all about boundaries. Where you put your time, your energy, your focus, and your money, what you want to grow. And so if people are coming into your life and there's an anxiety and fear, it's only because I haven't learned this. The hell? I don't know why I get like these pop-ups. Anyway, from Google, no less. Anyway, it says, so like when we've been conditioned in an environment that, our love came from like kind of abandoning ourselves, well, then it's just automatic. It's that you're probably a highly sensitive person, an empath, someone that can feel other people's feelings, because that becomes a survival mechanism. If every time you're taught that you don't give of yourself, there's a punishment. That punishment could be your parent just ignored you. They just didn't. They just, then there's a sense of I have to. I can't help it. I get into a relationship and I just want to give. I just want to love that person. And so, and then you say something, and this is worse. Like, then we got a lot of no talking yesterday, but this is like truth blocked by fear or backlash. So someone who's turning around and you're actually sticking up for yourself again, then the consequences. So this was repeated behavior in childhood of not being able to have your own boundaries, not being able to have your own identity. And I say identity because, listen, when you're creating yourself, you're not always around for everyone. You have to delegate your time accordingly. And like I said, everyone's pulling for your time, your energy, your focus, and your money, because that's how the world works. But you have to love yourself enough to not be manipulated, to be able to differentiate your energy from another person's energy. And that only happens when you're present. So that tells me that you get around a person and they trigger you, and then you're automatically up in your mind. Like, as a person's talking, you're already trying to figure out how you're going to help this person, like what you can do to like fix the energy and spirit. That's where it needs to end. Because what is going to happen is you're going to say certain things and try to set a boundary with certain people, But if you were brought up this way, it means that they're going to gaslight you. They're going to manipulate you. So if you give an inch, they're going to take a mile, and they're going to say, no, no, you promised, no, no. And then you're sensitive. So you're overstimulated. So the fear and the anxiety happens to be because you don't trust yourself. Because you're like, I don't know. It's like, I don't want to do it, but I feel like they're going to make me, or like I'm going to somehow get tricked, that you're not safe. That's a root chakra imbalance. And that it originated from, again, the attachment style that you grew up with. So you're going to get this lesson, is what spirit is saying. This is what's at hand. So you're like, well, if you want to know if the fucktoid is coming back, well, clearly, most likely, I mean, what else could it be? People that's like that, because exponential despair shows up as a deep sense of meaningless, like feeling like someone takes you off your path, someone takes you what's yours, and that could even be just your peace of mind, because being around people that want to use your energy, because we got control here. So I mean, that's self-explanatory, especially when you see the pictures, right? Look at the pictures. The picture is of a person that's actually puppeting someone. So that's what happens when you are a highly sensitive person, that you've been wired, I want to say programmed, because if you're a child and the parent is doing that, you're being programmed to react and respond in that way, because it's a survival mechanism. Emotional survival is just important as physical survival. So the antidote would be to get a better connection to the physical body. Start doing cold showers. And I know if you're a highly sensitive person, you don't want to do that. Healing doesn't feel good. And so you have to prepare your body. And I have a free challenge going on at school, on the platform School. It'll be in the description box. If you feel like, oh my God, I just don't trust myself. I get people and they just are so, like, their personalities are just so much for me, and I don't know how, but before I know it, I'm agreeing to things that I don't really want to, and then I'm like not taking care of the things that I need to take care of for myself. And then that keeps me in a place of not feeling good about myself. And then people are then making that to be your life, when that's not your life. They don't want you to know what your life is, So Spirit's saying, well, again, we look at the first card that fell out, and that is, again, suppression. So, and the suppression from lack of support. So if you get support only when you are, doing what everyone wants you to do, and that's usually making everyone else look good. If your parents are that way, where they're like, oh, you don't do what I want, I'm going to give you a dirty look, I'm going to cut my energy off, you're going to know that I'm not pleased with you. And I know that I'm going to be able to affect you on that, because I can feel it. And that behavior also is a lot of times handed down, or if the parent also just has a lot of trauma themselves. So they're dealing with you the way that they were dealt with. So that support. So there's a lack of support, which is, I only get love when I suppress myself and I don't feel safe. So I don't feel safe in the physical body. So there's a lack of connection to the physical body. And that's a problem, because God's inside of you. And only in the now do you get divine guidance. So if you were programmed to just react, and it's like, I don't know why he just reacted, I don't want to know why. And so again, that means you need to retrain your nervous system. And yoga may not be enough. If you lived in where you were really programmed like that, you have to be uncomfortable. When you get into like a cold shower, your body wants to like contract. It wants to tighten up. It wants to tense up. That's a natural response. But if you notice, it's like, you're getting a shot. If you're getting a shot, like me, I'm like, oh, like before they even touch me, I'm like, like I'm like a real baby, because I'm thinking about the pain. I'm thinking about what it's going to feel like. I'm thinking about everything instead of in the moment. And the real thing is that when you're like that, all tensed up, that's when you feel pain. When you're all tensed up, that's when you're going to react. So what you'll notice is you're not breathing. You're like, I know for me. I mean, no one's worse than no one, believe me. If I'm in this chair, it means that I had to master. You would get into the cryo machine, which is that I like it's a like instead of doing an ice bath, it's cold air coming at you, and it helps with inflammation. It helps with everything, like really cardiovascular health. Long and short, they're like, you only need to be in here for 3 minutes. 5 seconds into it, I'm like, how much time? Like literally, like I'm the worst. And that's a sign of trauma. That's the sign. Why? Because was I breathing? Was I in the moment? No. I'm like, I need to get out of here. My brain's saying, I need to get out of here. The smoke's coming at me. I feel like I'm in a gas chamber. I was like, oh my God, I can't breathe. I can't breathe. And the whole point is to breathe. I couldn't breathe. I was literally like I could not breathe. When I did breathing exercises, I would get less air. And that's a sign of needing to recondition your nervous system. Once you condition your nervous system, someone can trigger you. They can come right up to you and cross your boundaries and get right in your face. You don't care. Because what it is you're in the moment. You're in that. What are you going to do? I know you're not going to hit me, because if you hit me, then I can sue you. But if you were hit before, along with being conditioned, where again, conditioned to be like, you're going to do what I tell you to do. And then if you don't, the consequences wasn't just to be ignored, but to get hit. There's a real fear of being hit. But understand they can't do that. They would go to jail. They would get, arrested. Most people just want to intimidate you. They want to see you give up your power. They want you to relinquish control. And so if you're intimidated, you're just going to want to give in. So the breath gets us in the moment, and in the now you have time to think. And in the now is when you're going to get that divine guidance that says, excuse me, do you have a problem? Do you have a problem? Yeah, I didn't think so. I mean, because really, when you turn it back onto the other person, is everything okay with you? You seem a little bit upset. What you're saying is, I know what you're doing. The problem's not me. The problem's you. Step off. You're able to but it's always the before. And so this is what Spirit's saying. You need to recondition your nervous system, because, hey, you're going to be entering into maybe trying to date new people, trying to set boundaries with old people, trying to maintain a business and a life. And if your nervous system is not, then you're not going to be able to handle the everyday stresses of life. And Spirit says, and that's where self-sabotage comes into play. It comes into play because of that. So Spirit's saying there was a lack of laughter growing up and joy. And so might have not been able to just have your unique unfoldment process, which is what happens when there's anxiety and fear. You're not in your body, is what Spirit's saying. So just get back into your body, because there's going to be things that are happening. A lot of energy is what's going to happen. So we're going to see what is that energy, because that's the message, your healing message. This is what's at hand, that you need to, again, recondition that nervous system, that body, mind, especially again, this tells us everything. Consequences, if you speak, consequences. And that consequence could be as simple as, I'm going to isolate you from the family. That's terrifying for a child. So let's see, again, let's just look at some random cards, which are the hidden truths. It's let's see what this person is thinking. We'll pull them from my cards, which is a random deck, which is, let's just see that. And then as far as business-wise, I'd like to see What can I pull for my what we need? Again, we can pull the focus, we can pull empower. So I like to see, and a lot of times we'll see these karmic themes play out everywhere, more random. Okay. So let's just see where your person's at. Like, what are they thinking? Why do I feel like, why is Spirit saying you better train your nervous system? Especially if this person has the power to like trigger you. You know, that's when the reactive behavior too. So I'm kind of feeling like reactive abuse is something that you've had to overcome, you know, and that's on it. You were the best thing in my life. Ugh. And so you might be like, I wasn't even in this person's life that long. Well, the problem is that when you're dealing with someone that's like has a lot of wounds, they're in their head. They daydream a lot. So it's not who you are, it's who they want you to be, which is why the problem actually happens because they don't take the time to build the emotional connection. So you may say, I don't really feel like they gave me enough to even feel that way because they didn't show you feeling. They acted like they didn't care half the time. That's a person that again is used to using their emotion, like using other people's emotions against them. So that could have been a parent that did that. So we're seeing like that thread of the same behavior. I feel you leaving me behind. Ah, that says it. It's like, well, I haven't gotten anything. So what am I going to sit around for you? You know, eventually you're going to put the energy into other things and those things are going to grow. And I feel like this person's been sitting there watching, expecting for some reason that you were going to reach out to them. So stupid. It's like already you see like emotional immaturity, and that's that would be triggering. I wish I could take back my words. I feel like you said something. It's not, see, this person thought that it was going to be like a joke. Oh, you're just saying, oh, like tried to twist your words around, acting like you were asking for too much, acting like you were the problem because you had boundaries. Again, trying to manipulate you, trying to throw you off your guard, meaning like lower your standards. That's what this person was trying to do. And, you know, and so when, and how they did that is you might have said, well, I really thought that you were going to show up at a party, or really thought that you were going to like call me, or really thought that I was surprised when I was in the hospital. I was surprised when my daughter, my son, whatever, like this person should have been there during certain times of your life. And instead they chose to sit back and give nothing. And I feel like because you had standards, so it was a way again of I'm going to punish you because you have standards. So there's more of that. And so instead of this person actually being there and creating that intimacy, they created a wedge. And so what it is that they expected you to fight for them and like fight about it. Like, I can't believe it that you wouldn't be there. Why wouldn't you know I've been there for you? You didn't do that. I feel like they wanted you to do that. You didn't do that. So what they did was, well, we're not dating. You're not really that important to me. I'm sure you have other people that are closer to you, like kind of making it like it wasn't my job to do the bare minimum for you, to try to make you feel less than because you had a boundary, like, how dare you? Where really this person just didn't want to be accountable. And so what they see is you're a lot stronger than you looked, and that you have no problem, like, cutting it off. You have no problem, and they didn't see that in you. So now they're like, I wish I could take it back because now I see you for who you are. And that's the thing this person doesn't know. I regret lying to you. And part of the lie was in the beginning acting like they were interested, where I feel like they might have been attracted, but they had other people and they weren't honest about what they wanted. And I don't really ever feel that they were really clear about what they wanted either. There was a lot of hinting. There was a lot of, mixed behavior. that push and pull dynamic. There was a lot of this person testing you to see how far they could take it. And then when you would have a boundary, you would get punished. And what you would see is they would give you less, 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 and they would talk to other people. So a lot of mixed messages, but now they want you. And they want you because, listen, they always wanted you. They just didn't want you with your boundaries. I mean, that's the issue. And the thing is that now that you're like, I'm not interested, well, now I'm sure that it's triggering this person's, abandonment issues. They want to be the one in control. They want to be the one. Meanwhile, you're like, everybody that gets into my life wants to control my life. So you can see, being that there, you have a core belief like that, there's this person right there, that does want to do it. And I want to see if they're going to do anything, or like what, so like instead of like all this nonsense of this person finally realizing that they didn't really treat you well, and that, hey, now I see who you are. I am focused on myself right now because I need healing. Well, I feel like this person is saying, you probably wouldn't take me back unless I acted different. And this person's like, being the way that they are, you better believe that they were doing to you what they do to a lot of other people. And there's consequences eventually for that. One-sided relationship. It's like, and that's what I keep seeing, that they kept putting themselves in like one-sided relationships that made them look superior, where they got energy. They didn't care about anybody, because when there's 10 people that is giving you 100% of themselves, and you're giving like a breadcrumb, you're not forming an emotional connection. You're looking at those people as like things, like it's transactional. Like, I might buy you a drink, I might take you to dinner, I might give you some energy, but it's very little, but it's to get into your pants, which is actually pretty much the reading, that horrible reading that I had last night. It's like, it's not, I don't form relationships. Now this person is saying, well, you're someone that actually I could be in a relationship with, because guess what? You just said fuck you and walked away, and hey, there's no expectation. There's no expectation of me. See, this person, the moment that there's expectation, you want a relationship, they run away. And so here it is, you got to a point where you're like, I'm not dealing with this anymore. It's like, I'm not. It's like, and so it's like the fact that this person gets together with people that they're able to really like manipulate that way, because that's a manipulative tactic of, trying to condition you on what's acceptable. And they've done it a lot because they were very confident it was going to work on you, not because of who you are, but because they've done it so much. And that's why Spirit's saying, it's like they're getting karma. I have karmic debts that need to be paid before I can come back to you. Yeah, so like I said, didn't I say they were dating like other people or using other people? This is someone that has bad character, someone that only thought about themselves. And so it just so happened that you're part of their downfall, which their downfall is the fact that they really, like, they've done so much bad that they need to be in a place of healing. You're not going to accept them back. Wait, you're coming back with no money, with no, like, what you're in the energy of, what are you going to do for me lately? What have you done for me lately? What are you doing for me lately? How much? Because you gave nothing and you're expecting something from me. So they already know. That's why they feel bad. I regret lying to you. We already got that one. Emotional whirlwind. This person's in an emotional whirlwind and they are confused about it, but they want to purify themselves. And that's because, again, why did I lie? Why did I act this way? They didn't see you for who you were. They thought that you were like some peon, and not because of any other reason except for you were nice. And attraction isn't enough with this person. It's like unless you affected them. And so what this is keeps saying is that they're affected, but they're affected also because there's other things in their life that are taking them down. And I feel like spirit says like this person was like really thought who they were. So, they might, if their life was good, they wouldn't be actually looking at this connection, I feel like, because they did not care the way where they were. They were someone that was running from relationship to relationship. Yes, there was always a connection, but not one that I wanted to really. I wanted it to be like a one-sided relationship where you gave me everything, but I wasn't going to give you. And you said, "I'm not putting up with that shit. Peace out." This person was stuck with a bunch of losers. And I say that anyone that's going to give to a person that treats them like shit over and over and over and over again is a loser, because it's like you don't love yourself. So why would you expect someone to actually love you? And so, was stuck with people of lower hanging fruit that just were with this person to see actually what they were going to give them, because that's who you wind up attracting. So, which is why this person never really grows feelings, because they usually only attract low vibe people. So you might have not been in the best of places when you met this person, and this person viewed you from that level. And maybe it was in between jobs or the end of a breakup, or that there was something. So again, or the job, they based you not on the person, but on outside exterior. And they thought, well, what is you're just like, we have a connection. What the hell is that? This person's not spiritual. Their focus is on their life, and and they say they can't be bothered to worry about you. But I feel like this person is like, I need to fix my life, because there's no way in hell you're ever going to take me back. If I have nothing to offer, I lied, so I completely shut the door on this. I'm upset that I lied, because I would have loved to have you in my life now, because this person's in a different place. You know, this person is in your life to teach you a spiritual lesson. That's what Spirit's saying. It's like they were never supposed to be in your life. It's like was there a karmic connection? Yes, there was a karmic connection. But what you see here is a person that you met them, then they lied. They were talking to a lot of different people. They only had surface relationships. They weren't really interested. But I feel like for some of you, this person got someone pregnant. I just heard that. So part of the karmic consequence is that they have to take care of a kid that they don't want. And again, they're indebted to that. And, you know, talking to a bunch of different people. Now, that's coming out. Having to give resources. This person doesn't want to give anything to anybody. They were a taker. And so the thing is, now they're seeing you and saying, well, you walked away. You would have never did that. You would have never like trapped them. Like they perceive that they're trapped now, because they're like, I didn't want this. But that's what they created. They gave energy to lower vibrational people to try to manipulate you and whoever else to give them. And what they wound up with is somebody that is exactly like them. So that is why they need healing, because they kind of just ruin their life, ruin their financial status anyway. So this is what Spirit's saying. So when it's a spiritual lesson, the best thing that you can do is say, again, why did I attract this person into my life? And we saw why. It's that you were suppressed, because you kept getting punished every time you would say something. So, and there was a part of you that still held on. And I only say that not because, and you still held on, but there was a sense that you too saw the potential in this person. You wanted to believe that because, hey, on some level, when you first met them, they did feel something, on an emotional level. but it wasn't real. It was counterfeit. So Spirit says something needs to be put in that place to fully cut it off. Because I believe that you already cut it off. You're like, I don't really want this person, but I don't want to be courted to them anymore. I'm over it, because as long as you're courted to someone, it's very difficult for new energy to come in. That's number one. And number two, it keeps you stuck ruminating. It keeps you like in a bad mood, where really it's like it needs to be integrated, is what Spirit's saying. You need to like do something with that energy. Otherwise, like that anger turns into, rage, turns into fear. So Spirit's saying, first and foremost, be vulnerable, being open to healing yourself, like embrace your authenticity. And that's part of it. Being allowed to be you. So that might be, you need to be alone for a little while to see what does that really mean. And that's where you want to put your time, your energy, your focus, your money. Those are your resources. That's the Magician card. So if I was pulling a tarot card, that's what it would be. And the Spirit saying, use all that energy and put it towards yourself. Love yourself, because this person essentially gave nothing. And you grew up with that theme of like, I have to be someone else in order to be loved. So Spirit says, no, you need to be authentic. Does that mean that people are not going to try and challenge you? Of course they're going to challenge you. That's why you have to do the ice bath. The Spirit's going to say, because the people are going to sense, oh, you're a nice person. Oh, you're a giving person. Oh, because Virgos are just that way. They're nurturing, but to a point. That we don't want to really be like for our energy to be utilized by people that don't really appreciate it either. So Spirit's saying you need to be by yourself so that you can meet people, friends, hobbies, interests, because you need to be able to train people. And you train them by how much you give them. And if you don't have other things, then emotionally it takes you down, because then you can't tell over time whose energy is whose. So we go back to the beginning of the reading, where Spirit's saying this is why it needs to be. Not just because of this person, but because you'll keep attracting the same type of person. And you don't want to keep attracting the same type of person. Someone that's just a taker. That's number one. Number two, Spirit says, have the courage to act from a place of love instead of fear. Clearly, you'd be like, I don't trust anybody. And Spirit says, you don't have to trust everybody. All you have to do is trust yourself, because only in the now do you get divine guidance. So you got to get a better connection to the physical body. Oh, we keep saying that. Yeah, because God says, because I'm going to tell you through discernment. It's about you commanding what you want in life. You're not seeing, I can't do that. You didn't enter into the relationship that way, God says. How you entered into the relationship is, I'm nice. I'm going to treat you the way I want to be treated. I'm a giver. I'm a lover. I'm a nurturer. I came from that. That's who I am. And God says, no. It's again, like come from a place of love, where I can be compassionate, but I'm going to be compassionate to myself first. I'm going to love myself first. It doesn't mean that I hate you. I don't need to hate you. And I don't need to trust you either. I need to trust myself. And God says that lack of connection. And so you might have been warned, but then if you're warned and intuitively told, and then you ignore that higher self, then God says, then you ignore me, because I already told you. You're like, well, I think that I can kind of, and God says you can't. It's again, so it's not about not having an open heart, because again, people then are like, I'm never going to date. God says that's not realistic, and you're here to give and receive of love. Hey, honest to God, you're here to give and receive of love through your free will. It's like, that's why you're here, to be the expression of unconditional love. That's how you're going to be abundant. That's how you're in the flow of the universe. People and things want to take you off that energy, as we said in the beginning of the reading, where Spirit's saying it's the way that the world works. It's not heaven. So it's about you becoming strong within yourself. And, when we do the ice plunge challenge or the cold plunge challenge, I don't have ice in mine. I just use cold plunge. It's about reconditioning that, that reactive response where you're like, I don't trust myself. It's like I just volunteered. My kid needed cupcakes to be made. So now I'm baking cupcakes, offered to do that. But now I'm not doing what I need to do for me. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't bake cupcakes ever, but the people that tend to be like, oh, I'll do that. And they don't think, but they're doing it because they want to be liked. They want to be accepted and understand. People pick up on that cue and they're like, I'm going to give you less. You must not like yourself. And you're like, I don't fucking understand. If anyone, I walked your dog, I took your dog for 3 fucking weeks. They shit all over my house. And it's like, and at the end of the day, you're treating me like I work for you, that I'm not your friend. Again, because that person showed you. So it's not about being nice. It's about understanding you have to look at yourself like you're the CEO. And would a CEO be nice to everybody? No. It doesn't mean that they're going to be nasty to everybody. It just means I don't give you time. It's where I prioritize you. And so if you don't have other things in place, like other hobbies, interests, friends, balance that is filling you up on an emotional level, well, then you're doomed, because you have some people that actually just seek out who's a giver, who's a giver, who's a giver. Trust me. The Spirit says, and you have to envision brighter horizons for yourself, like where you see your worth. You see the genius inside of you. You might be like, I don't have that. God says everybody has that. You're not here by mistake. You're here by my design. You don't know who you are 100%. And that could be because you were brought up in a family that told you who you were. And then if you didn't do as they told you, they ignored you on an emotional level. So that's a second chakra imbalance. That's going to affect your relationships straight across the board, where you have, again, these difficult people just come into your life where you're like, why do I get these people? And God says, because you need to train your nervous system. What the fuck? And God says, because again, I'm inside your body, and only in the now am I going to give you divine guidance. And you're like, oh, it's again. So you have to, again, we work together. We're co-creating, and that's the thing. So you don't trust yourself, and that's not a good thing, because people can sense that. So you have to see your worth. That's how you really are able to alchemize that energy, because how do you manifest? Through the thoughts that you think and the emotions that you hold. And so you're subconsciously holding that. Then you have seekers that actually look for that. And then if they know that you've given that before, well, hey, they're going to just push it more. Like, well, yeah, you think you're going to put up it's like a bully, that when a person says, well, now I'm going to stand up for myself, and the bully comes into life, and it like they get extra angry. They're like, oh, you think you're going to stick up for yourself now? And then they do more damage, because they're like, I know I can get this person to be subservient because they were before. And I don't want to see myself as an equal to you. Again, that's that person's ego. That's superior. So people will deliberately do that. And it's not about an evil world. It's not an evil world. But if you were conditioned in an environment like that, you're like, the world is fucking evil. Because you're like, I keep getting people like that. And the Spirit says it's about you being true to yourself. You be true to yourself, and that once you again get stronger within that connection to the physical body, it's not, you'll go through this situation, you'll be like, this wasn't really that bad. Because again, what you'll see is a lot of the stress is the ruminating before, oh my God, what's this person going to do? Oh my God, it's like I have to deal with them. Or that fear of the pain or the problem that hasn't even occurred yet, where God's saying it's like, by then you're shot. So we have to again have focuses on different things because your brain can't be in two places at one time. So Spirit says, and you know what? You can nurture the light within you to guide you in the dark times. And that's your hobbies, your interests, your passions. Like who are you? Like, do you know who you are? And you could be like, I don't really even know 100% who I am. And that's because you weren't allowed to have your unfoldment process. Or you might say, I know who I am, but it's not manifesting right. And Spirit says, then do other things. It's about going out into the world and meeting new people and learning and growing and becoming. It's not about giving energy to this or any other person that makes you wait. What are you waiting for? You're gonna wait for someone to give you commitment, wait to give you the time, wait to God says there's so many other people and things out there. Spirit says it's time that you align your actions with your heart's true desire. Follow your passion. And even though that there's a person on here, that's not what that means. It means follow your passion when it comes to passions for life so that you can then be the vibration of love so you can attract that into your life. Because if you don't, then you're feeling like you're fragmented and you're going to pull fragmented people to you. And you're like, well, I'm fragmented where I don't really know what I'm supposed to be doing here. Like, I'm not really fulfilled within my job, but I pull fucking crazy to me. And Spirit says, yeah, because there's only two energies, love and fear. So you're like, so I have to pull someone really demented to me because I just haven't figured it out. And Spirit says, you gave too much energy. You weren't able to see who they were because it's, again, that person shaded themselves, but you would have if you were not so close up to the picture. Because when you're not so close up to the picture, you can see the faults. Meaning, like you can tell when a person all of a sudden changes up, they lie, your intuition tells you. And the Spirit says you're able to see beyond the illusions. And which is what people want to keep you in, is the illusion, like you're not allowed to have an identity, that you need to settle for less than what you deserve, where God's saying you don't. The issue is, do you know that? It's like that's the issue. You're like, well, if this is the karmic theme all the time, and God says it's the karmic theme because we need to change our life. You have infinite possibilities for you, just like everybody else does. The only opportunities that don't come is when you don't believe them. So it's time that you need to release fear. And again, fulfill your promise, because before anything, you're here by God's design. So you are born alone, you die alone, aside from the fact that God's inside of you. This life that we're living is so that we can become ourselves. We get the story of who we think we are, then there's a real story of who we truly are. God works its glory through the most broken aspects of ourselves. But that happens only when we help ourselves. That's why they say God helps those that help themselves. When the student is ready, the teacher appears. God says, you're not even in charge of how you create yourself. Do you know that? You put the energy out there the best way that you know how. But everything happens in divine time. And my plan is always better than yours. I make a way where there is no way just for you. But if a person can take your spiritual sovereignty away from you because, hey, you were brought up in an environment that didn't allow you to embrace that. That's kind of like living in socialism. If that's all you know, then it's like that's all you know. But if you know different, Spirit says you have to embrace that. And right now, there's a spiritual war that's happening that doesn't want you to have spiritual sovereignty. That's why you see the roots of society are not strong anymore. You're seeing family dynamics not really as strong as they used to be, inherited like habits and behaviorism, the karmic contracts and covenants, that because no one teaches about the spiritual realm, but we inherit, all of that. When there's a war, you think that it's okay to go kill people like babies and kids? Really? Really? Like, I mean, you don't think that there's karmic consequences for that? Yeah, there's karmic consequences for that. Unfortunately, my grandfather fought in World War II. He was stationed in Bombay, India. If you don't think that I'm paying for the consequences of that, I'm paying for the consequences of that. There's consequences, regardless of the government did it. Well, we had no choice. That's a collective karma. It's like, yeah, and so you kind of feel a little victimized, but you can transcend all of it. You can transcend the limitations of your mind by becoming yourself, but understand those karmic themes will continue to play out with people and situations until you integrate them. And Spirit says, so if you don't know your own genius, it's going to be a problem. You know, that's the issue. It's like knowing who you are. Like, listen, you're not like you have God inside of you. You can create whatever life and life experience that you want. The illusion is, no, I can't because I've just lived this. This is all that I felt. So Spirit saying, yeah, it takes a lot of time and energy to create what you want to create, but you can just gotta relinquish control of your own energy. Anything forced will not have a good or happy consequence. So that's warning us again, like, well, I don't really want to, but I'm going to force it. I'm going to try. And Spirit says, you can't. So just remember that. And then the Spirit's saying, strive to do your best and don't worry about the things beyond your control, that you are enough. That, you may say, oh, I'm not enough, I'm not good enough. God says, if you need something, I'm going to bring it to you, trust me, because that's not it. Mastery comes in doing. It comes to, again, utilizing all your energy and time to create the life that you want. And Spirit says that, anything that's beyond your control, God says, I have your back. Because God says, I work with the universe because I created the universe with my voice. So you are the universe. So there is no separation. And in that, everything is in divine order. You may not think that it is. When things the bad happen, is to help you learn, but nothing can really take you off your track except for you feeling like, I'm off my track. Spirit says, so again, just be present, just be in the moment. Whatever tools, skills, and abilities that you need to accomplish your life's purpose are available already to you. So you might say, again, I don't have enough. I'm not. Spirit says, you got it. You got it. I don't like the way that it looks. Spirit says that's the problem. You have judgment on yourself. And that's because that's not your voice. That's how you were programmed. That's how people got you to give up your energy, making you feel like you're not enough. You're not good enough. You might as well relinquish control. You can't do it on your own. Spirit says you have everything that you need. You're the magician. I just told you that. The Magician Tarot card tells us we have everything to create our life, everything that we need. The illusion is that we don't, but what it is there's a lack of grounded. There's a lack of connection to the physical body. So you have to hit the pavement and be interactive in life because that's what was missing. So it's going to feel wrong. There's going to be a little anxiety. There's going to be a little fear. Spirit says it goes back to you getting in that ice water. I don't care. God says, yeah, healing doesn't feel good. Focus on the prize. It's not going to feel good. It's okay to say no. Do you see all these messages? This is the fucking empower card. Like, we haven't really gotten any empower except for keep people out. Keep people out that don't deserve to be in your life. That's the message over and over and over and over and over again. This is the empower deck. It's like, empower me. Bring the light from within you to the surface and shine, meaning like your talents, who you are. It's, again, you want the universe answers the best to what's authentic, to what's real, to how much love, how much passion you put into it. Not perfect, because God says, only I'm perfect. You could be perfect and people will find fault with it because they may not like you. But understand, I'm perfect. Even if people think that I'm not perfect, I'm perfect. So, you also can be perfect in your own way. We shoot for excellence, and that is your perfect, is what Spirit's saying. Because people will tend to judge you and manipulate you to try to make you perceive that, things aren't working as fast, or maybe things aren't happening, especially if you're like, well, it's not happening yet. Spirit says, don't be grounded. Don't judge your process. Don't focus on exterior things. Have faith. It's like show up every day. Put your mind towards what you can do to grow and put the rest in God's hands, is what God keeps saying. It's like focus on you. Don't focus on the relationship. Don't focus on people that want to come back into your life that don't have anything to offer. Because what you see here with this person, when we say, again, are they going to do anything? We don't see them do anything. We see a lot of, oh, I have feelings for you, but I have to fix my life, because guess what? I can't really come back into your life and do anything anyway, because you would never have me, is what you see here. Which is actually better than the last night's reading, because last night's reading was the person was going to try and come back anyway, on one of the channels. I don't even remember, but it was like, you're going to come back anyway, even though you know that it doesn't work. And Spirit says yes, because that's what it is. Yeah, like the person, like if they came back, it would just be more of the same, is what Spirit's saying. It's like they'll say that they're going to heal, and they'll start to heal, but I feel like it goes deep. So you can say, well, what are they doing now? I mean, not that it's important, but because what you see is that, but are they actively trying to do healing? I mean, and really Spirit's saying, they are like upset about the fact that they never asked for forgiveness. They never gave you the apology. Where are they? They're in a place of, again, the victim, because they have money problems, because again, they like to hook up with people. That's what I see. I don't see anything else here. Like they might have got someone pregnant. They might have created a triangle. There's disruption in this person's life. And it's because they thought that they were too big to fail. It's like they're looking now at you because you disconnected. And once you disconnected, they could tell you from everybody else. And then what they're saying is, I'm surrounded by a bunch of like losers. Really. That's what they're saying, because it's like, I don't really want to be belong to a club that would have me as a member, kind of. This person now sees you as, oh, wow, you're somebody like that. I like has the energy that I like, that would actually make me look better, is what I feel like. But you wouldn't take me back now, because I don't have the money, and I can't really manipulate to have you back. And I say that because this person doesn't really know how to build emotional connections, which is why they got themselves into this type of, I don't know what you'd call it, because it's not like they're dating. It's just kind of like going from one person to another. It's like lying, it's like you meet somebody and you pretend to be somebody else. And, it's like, it's a fantasy. They get fulfilled sexually, and then that's it. It's like there's nothing to the relationship. It's just a facade. We can say, look all day and say, well, why are they that way? And it's clearly because they have trauma. It's not even important why they do it. We can look, if I can find the cards. Yep, and I did. What do we got? The cards falling all over the place. Okay. All right, so different deck. We don't have to worry. We'll just pull 3, because it's not really even important, but we say, why is it like that? Shards of love. Past trauma leaves scars. Again, like just past relationships, is why they're like that. Why they compartmentalize, that they're comfortable in these like entanglement type of relationships, which is like, I come in and I get really like, I promise you everything. And it's like, I build this sexual like energy, and sometimes I get to sleep with the person, sometimes I don't, sometimes it's just fantasy, but it creates this entanglement where the person wants to be, they feel very desired. So they need to feel desired. They need to feel that they're needed. They need to feel this energy. And that's why they don't allow you to have really boundaries, because you're not allowed to even communicate boundaries of what, you know, what works for you. So what would happen is that, you would be stifled again, and they would be demanding and just limit you. So you, again, goes back to you not really allowed to have a voice, not allowed to have an identity. It's more or less like, I want you for what you can do and for what you can give, which is a compartmentalization, which happens when a person has gone through relationships and they have trauma and they haven't healed it. What they say is, well, I still want that, but now I'm going to, I'll have some friends. So you better believe this person has people that they talk to in their inbox that they consider friends, but they're probably like Facebook people, like insignificant. No one that they'll ever really see or do, but little conversations that, they'll share with. And then they're with somebody that they're like, oh, I'm really attracted to this person. This person they'll put on a pedestal. And then what happens is you show that you're a real person, and it leaves that fantasy stage, and then you get punished. And then this person has never really built that emotional connection. You go off to talk to somebody else, and then now you're in an entanglement with them. And so this is how they navigate. So relationships are nothing but turbulent. They love the drama. That's what it's about for them. And that's it. It's like, there's nothing else. It's just like you would never get what you needed, because you would never be allowed to be vulnerable. They don't share what they're vulnerable about either. They don't show. So it's almost like, being that you're not allowed to like speak for what you want, it goes back to your boundaries. It does say unspoken needs can plunge you into a deep confusion, like where you need to talk, you need to reveal like what your needs are, and this person is not going to let you do it, because they, again, will twist it and turn it. And this is how they're used to being in relationships. And I think at one time they had money. I think at one time they had the money to go out and, present themselves as if they were a good catch and get people to believe that. And then this person would get what they wanted, and then that would be it. And the fact that you're not doing it, I feel like this person is saying, wow, like you were somebody that, why didn't I see who you were? And it's like, I'm sure it's not just because I lost out on a good catch, but this person seems to be very prideful and has an ego and cares what other people think. So now that you're of someone of a high character and you're looking at them different, well, that makes them feel like how they actually feel all the time. The reason why they do what they do is a mask to not feel that. So I feel like you put them back in that energy. So, and the healing is that they need to do is pretty much to fix their life, but their life is not going to be that easily to be fixed right now, especially if they got someone else pregnant and they have money issues and there's just all this other drama. And if they didn't get someone pregnant, they created problems within their life that's costing them on a financial level. And so, they can't come back, because if they're going to come back, they'd have to wine and dine you and treat you great and create that illusion for you to actually buy into it. And the thing is, they can't do that. So they're in a position that they have to heal, to be honest with you, for their own life. To sustain their own life, which is why they're like, you might not even be feeling them at all, because this person is doing that. And we end off with one more, which is Spirit saying positive action. You focus on the beauty inside of yourself. and you find silence. You live and honor the present moment by doing what you can do now. What you cannot change, you let go and you let God. And Spirit saying, you're on the right path. It just, when nothing is happening, there's always a space between what you sow to what you reap, and you're in that space. When you plant a seed, it doesn't sprout up right away. There's weeks that go by that you're just looking at dirt sometimes, or days that go by that you're looking at dirt and you're like, did this thing work? Are you gonna grow? Like, did I put enough water in? Is there too much dirt? Like, you begin to question, where Spirit is saying it's the same thing. Don't. It's again, when you are taking action, and that means you're grounded and you're doing what you need to do to grow yourself, it happens. You're not in charge of how it happens. That's the key. You think that you're in charge of what happens, but a lot of times you put your best foot forward and we meet other people, we get derailed, something happens, life happens. And Spirit says, none of it's a mistake. It's the way that you handle it is the key. And that's what's at hand here. Spirit saying is like everything will be perfect, because it's not what happens, it's how you handle it. Because God says, I got everything else covered, because you have no control over how that person's going to treat you, what this person wants to come in. No one can take what's yours. Just fulfill your promise by making sure that you're putting the energy out there the way that you know how. And God says, and the rest, I have your back. Now, you might be like, this is terrifying because I don't really know. And Spirit says, well, that we don't have a relationship. And we don't have a relationship because you were conditioned in an environment. You weren't allowed to have your unique unfoldment process. So it would be scary. That's why you have to train your nervous system, Spirit says, so that you're present and in the moment, you can get that divine guidance, and then you react from that guidance, and you know that it's intuitive divine guidance, because there's always a call to action right after, not like the mind chatter that says, maybe I should do this, maybe I should do that. So Spirit's saying, and if you're like interactive in life, you're not focused on your problem. So what you'll notice is intuition always comes on random, and usually when you're not thinking about the issue. So you need to, again, train your body and mind to work together. It goes back to that. That's what's at hand, because again, things are going to happen. Maybe not with this person, but with, repeating the same type of behavior while you're trying to manifest, is what Spirit's saying. Because I feel like you passed this test. The whole point is that the person's like, I can't come back because somebody trap me in a situation and I have no money to win you over. So like, I can't come back. But Spirit says, but that doesn't mean anything, because what you resist persists. You didn't learn the lesson. You escaped the problem. You'd be like, well, how would I learn the lesson? Spirit says, by cutting it off right in the beginning and being like, seeing it. And that's, if you were busy and really your cup was overflowing and I'm having a great life. I'm traveling, I'm meeting different people. And every week I meet people and they're all good looking, and there's potential. Your imagination is going. Somebody comes in with a few little breadcrumbs. You're going to be like, I could either have this breadcrumb with this person that is attractive and yeah, there's potential, but it's just like not enough. Or I can have a really good time, meet a bunch of people. There's potential when I go to meet someone that's really good looking and that I connect with. You're going to choose the second. You're going to say, like, you're not coming in here with something equal or of a higher value. So I'm not going to take what's a higher value and invest in something that might be a deficit for me, because you didn't show me enough, is what Spirit's saying. So when you're the CEO of your life, you're like, it's not being rude by saying, what am I going to get for it? The person needs to earn it. And the reason why it has to be that way is you're dealing with people that have been traumatized. They have a closed heart. They don't trust. And if a person doesn't invest anything, they don't build the emotional connection. Word salad isn't anything. Word talking is nothing. You want the action, and Spirit saying, so you are sustained and you can tell, and you're able to like set boundaries without caring. You emotionally are not affected by it because you're like, no, I'm not going to be around. And then you'd be like, oh, I feel bad for that person. And then your friend says, really? Because Bobby is going to be there. And you saw Bobby. He wasn't. When we went dancing, took his shirt off, and he was hot, and he was buying drinks for everybody, and we were having a great time. Like, really? You want like with that person? It's like, and you'd be like, man, I don't feel that bad. You know what I mean? Once you're there, and then guess what? That person is being told something. They have to look and see, how much did I give? What am I offering? Maybe I need to offer a little bit more if I like that person. You're forcing them to like balance themselves out, because why are you going to accept that, is what God says. Why would they be contributing to filling your cup up? Why wasn't the cup full to begin with, is what God is going to say. Because person shouldn't be drinking out of your cup. They get the what dribbles over the cup. That your cup is so overflowing with so much fun and passion and joy that they get whatever. This way it makes them want. It makes them want to, because people need to feel that it's not that easy. That's why. And if you're too nice and too easy, people take it for granted. It's like, it's not that you did anything wrong. It's just the way of the world. So that's where you went wrong, Spirit saying that your life was not up here, and it, because it wasn't, and it was down here, you saw potential, and then said, oh, well, this is what I wanted it to be. And it wasn't anything like that. It was who this person is. And they knew it, and they knew it. That's why they because that's how everybody deals with them. That's why they're a little cocky, not because of you, but because when a person is able to get over all the time, that's what happens. It's like a person that gets away with robbing a bank. They usually just don't rob one bank. They're usually like, we've been getting along. It's usually they get greedy, and that's when they get caught, right? But they do it a few times. People that kill people do it a few times. You know, it's very, unless it's like an act of like passion or something like that. But people that can cross that line, it's like, well, it's there's no consequence. It's like I said, so it gets easier. So that's what it is. Thank you, Mr. West Ashley, and thank you, Debbie, and thank you everybody else for sharing your energy with me this morning. It was not a good morning because, like I said, it was a crazy morning, but you guys always make it better for me. So thank you. I love you guys. I have to work at the Healing Center today. I work at an addiction recovery center doing prophetic readings for the people before and after AA meetings and Al-Anon meetings and all the meetings that we have at the center. And we have a lot of meetings at the center. It's my way of giving back to the community. And so I will try and be on later if I have the energy, but sometimes I don't have the energy because it's a lot to work with some of the people. It's hard to give up addiction, but that's what happens when people have so much trauma. They don't know how to deal with it. And so if the easiest thing to do is grab something outside of ourselves to suppress those feelings and emotions, and then it's those behaviorisms that keep them stuck in continuing to relive those traumatized experiences. And I believe that that's another sign of the spiritual war that we're seeing. The spiritual war on consciousness is the spiritual war that wants you to perceive that you are less than. God says you're not less than because you're me. You have me inside you. You have the universe inside of you. You have the moon and the stars and the sun inside of you. Do you know how powerful that is? Spirit says that's powerful. All you have to do is, again, just recondition. Recondition, and it starts with creating a daily practice for you and showing up for yourself. Again, if you're interested, check out my school link. It's for free to join the school. I have a lot of free stuff. Yes, there is also a subscription, but my cold water challenge is free. And if you're someone that really feels like you need to retrain your nervous system, go check it out. Again, it starts slow. I know I did. They were like, oh, start with a minute. Yeah, no, I started with like 10 seconds. And that was a lot because I suffered from trauma. So I know that it's not easy. You got to start where you are. But it's always easier to do it in a community with other people kind of cheering you on, you know? So, I mean, if this is something that you need, it's available to you. All right, I'm going to run. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye-bye.